Hey, greetings everyone. Just thought I'd give you an update on this Harbor Freight trailer build out I was doing. As you remember the last time I showed this to you, I just basically put the deck on it and there were no sides. So since that time I've built these sides, which make for a really nice trailer for hauling bulk materials. I've made several trips with this full of mulch and it handles it pretty well. It's very handy. I also use it to tow around the property with the tractor to transport things, pick up brush, that sort of thing. Works out pretty well for that as well. These sides are all constructed using recycled wood. Most of this wood on here is oak that I had milled from a couple of oak trees that came down during Irene. Got hit pretty hard with that storm. Lost at least 50 big beautiful oaks, so quite a few of those trees went off to a lumber mill up in Pennsylvania, and I had a few of those milled for myself, and this is basically some 1x-dimensional lumber that I used to build the sides here. The stakes are some old 2x4 pressure treated I had laying around the house. And again, keeping the spirit with this project was trying to use up whatever materials I had left and try to spend as little new money as I possibly could. All of the stain on it is some stain that I bought for a project and didn't like the color and decided to use something else, so I got to use that gallon of stain up for this. All the screws are left over from various projects. I've probably got 4 or 5 different kinds of screws in here, and they from square heads to Phillips to Torx. But once again, all those little piles of leftover materials are slowly being put to good use. Here in the front, if you remember, I had these old 2x10 pine I had left over from a project. I got some Amish guys, and it was hanging over the front because they were 9-footers. And I had originally talked about leaving them just uncut, but I ultimately decided to cut them back so they were flush, so these stakes would go in there with no problem whatsoever. But in the back, I did leave them hang over, and I'll show you that here in a second. Hey, here in the back, you can see I left these planks hang out over the back just a little bit. It comes out pretty handy because when you want to get up inside of there, you can use this as a step. And it also helps get this out, because these tend to be pretty tight, and you just have to get a pry bar under there, so it worked out pretty nice. Gives probably an extra foot there. This is some of the few hardware that I had to actually buy. These are for the corner, and they just slide up and lock into place. I think I got these from redtrailers.com as well. I believe I bought some of the other parts, the stake pockets, from them. I think they were about $8, so $16 for both sides delivered, thereabouts. Just taking a look down inside the body of the trailer and with the sides on. Believe it or not, you can see some, well, I guess you can believe it, you can see some cracks between the boards. When I built this, they were actually tight, so the wood has shrunk up that much. I had it milled last October, November. It sat in the dry shed all winter, so 6 months wasn't enough to completely dry that, but once it got out in the sun, it dried and shrunk pretty well. Might get a little material slipping through there, but I should be okay. The mainly hull mulch, and it's fairly coarse. Did have to use a few bolts in this one over here. Most of them are just screws, but that one piece of wood started to bow on me, and I decided to put that 1/3 inch hardware just to pull it back in place a little bit. It actually snapped some of the screws off, but I guess that's one of the problems you have with using green lumber. And then we have our stakes, if we ever just want to run with stakes on and not have the sides on. Once again, just some 2x4x8s that were laying around that I cut up, drill a 1/3 inch hole. And they're all stained to match and ready to go when we need them. To secure these stakes in place, I just built these. It's essentially a 3/8 inch carriage bolt by 6 inches long. Local hardware store had them on sale. I had a big box of them for 50 cents a piece. I just took a washer and welded it on so I had something to grab onto it with, and then put it into the drill press and drilled a hole and use these pins to secure it in place. That way you don't have to worry about being on the road, not having a wrench to take this thing apart. Just put the pin in, locks it in place. And of course I got these in that one of those handy Harbor Freight parts packs I did a little video on a little bit earlier. This you could have bought these, the pins they use for the trailers that have the securing pin in the end, but no one really made a 3/8 inch, and they all they had were half inchers, and they were $4 to $5 a piece. So I needed the 8 for this trailer, so that would have been another $40. This way I just spent, what did I spend, $4 essentially in a little bit of time. Now, just to show you, I'm using these rubber wheel chocks. Picked those up at Harbor Freight too, $6 a piece, but it's kind of nice, keeps the trailer from rolling down over the hill out into the woods. So a little bit prettier than using a cinder block, not quite as heavy either. Yeah, to keep the trailer up when it's not attached to a vehicle, I was quite content just to use one of these leftover 5-gallon pails, but I had seen these jack stands on Harbor Freight, you know, $20, the ones that bolt on. But I saw nothing but complaints, people talking about poor quality and they don't last. And I figured, why spend the money on something that's just a piece of junk and going to be more trouble than it's worth. And the ones in Northern Tool are probably, you know, 3 times the price, $40, $60. And quite frankly, I just didn't want to spend $60 on this trailer just for a jack stand when I could use a free plastic bucket. But then I saw this one on the Harbor Freight site, and it's heavy duty. And it got like 4.5, 5 stars. It was only $20. The difference here is it's a weld-on. I haven't had a chance to weld it on yet, but this thing is definitely heavy and sturdy. I don't think it's going to have any problem whatsoever keeping this trailer up. So as soon as I get some time and some dry weather here, I'm going to go ahead and weld this baby on here. And that will pretty much complete the trailer project. Okay, so that's it. That's my Harbor Freight trailer build out. Once again, this is the heavy duty model, the 4x8. And I think I paid like $280 for it using the 20% off coupon. Tried to recycle as many materials as I could. All the decking is recycled material. All of the siding is oak I had milled from trees destroyed by Irene, so I put those to good use. A few things I had to buy. I bought this jack stand in the front, which didn't really have to buy that, as I just mentioned. And I bought the grease to redo the bearings. And I bought the 8 D-rings. They were $5 a piece at Lowe's. And I bought this stake pockets. There's 8 of those. They were $4 from roadtrailers.com. And then of course I bought that hardware in the back to secure the sides, 2 of those. And that's pretty much it. A few bolts here and there. The stain was left over from another project, so probably just off the top of my head another $100. So a pretty good, decent trailer here for under $400. Hopefully it'll last me a long time. Okay, I hope you found this useful. Maybe you got some ideas what you can do with your own project. Alright, take care. Cheers.